if you had no prior knowledge of the German coaching situation before this tournament, and I told you that Joachim Löw was in charge of this team, I don't think you'd be too surprised by that performance, particularly the way that things went in that final phase of the game. It felt like a highlight version in some ways of what happened against Mexico in that opening game. And that's part of the problem, is how much has enough changed from the way that Germany play since Joachim Löw left the setup, and having Hansi Flick, somebody who was an assistant to Joachim Löw for such a long time. But also the point you make there about, okay, but they didn't take their chances. But this has been the big point for many people in Germany, the fact that they don't have a number 9 in a classic sense, or haven't played with one, and that it was Kai Havertz leading the line. I spoke in favor of Havertz on the preview pod, and to be honest, he was pretty bad today. So I think it makes more sense to probably play with Niklas Füllkrug for the next game. But the fact that Germany don't have that same quality of a number 9, and that leads Germans down the path of thinking about there being something wrong with the way that they bring their players through. I've heard from people within the German FA who talk about doing too many rondos and not enough one-on-one duels, and too many similar players that they're bringing through. There's even a quote from not from somebody from in the German FA, but Mehmet Scholl, very famous ex-German player, who's talking about how all these young players know how to fart out formations, as he so eloquently puts it, but they don't know sometimes.
Do you reckon Jonathan Wilson does that? Sorry. I was to make some. I picked the audience. I knew you'd enjoy that, actually. Yeah. Anyway, carry on, do.
Just as somebody who's had the pleasure to have dinner with him,
yeah,
at some point. Yeah, I don't know what it was. Just mentally, that image, I was like, can imagine this. Can somehow imagine this. Yeah. So the point is that, just kind of like, I guess having that kind of learning the trade of the game and how you develop a striker is not in the same way that you kind of coach these passing and combination machines that they have. So yeah, I think there's a problem in that sense, but could keep going. The fact that this team, just like, despite having lots of good players, doesn't really work and doesn't have as many world-class players in it as it did before, and is struggling to get out of that shadow. I think this generation of players is still trying to achieve success in the same way, in the same system effectively as the last generation, and more things need to change.
Do you think, Mark, you look at Saudi Arabia beating Argentina, you look at Japan beating Germany,